Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the author Andrew Snorton, and you're joining us for our weekly live chat, the Fast 15. What we typically do in general, about 1:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes when technology is working great, we're a little bit early. Sometimes when it's delayed, it'll take a little bit longer. But that's okay. The main reason that we do this is just to take a moment to pause, check up, check in, enjoy a short reading, and we're good to go. So yeah, we hear everything. We've got a little, and I'm really excited. Every once in a while, we do have a guest that'll drop in, whether it's a fellow author, someone who's been a guest on my full television show, The Conversation Corner, um, or just every once in a while, people from the community to drop in and share. So I'm really excited to have Ms. Leticia Mathis joining us. And before we have our little chat, I want to make sure that we take care of just a couple of quick items. Number one, make sure to tune in on Facebook Live at the page Author Andrew Snorton. Also join me on Instagram at AuthorASnorton. And yeah, shouts to Ginger Funk 78, who is a regular viewer and supporter. And before we have Ms. Mathis share a little bit about, her story, as is always great, to find out about other, people, the encouraging work that they're doing. Just want to do the usual reminders. Number one, we always start off our show with acknowledging folks that might be going through some challenges. We know that as part of living this life, there's some shenanigans that take place. And so anybody out there who is going through a physical health issue, a mental health issue, like the old hip hop song that Eric B. and Rakim did, Paid in Full, you digging deep into your pockets and pulled up nothing but lint. Family challenges, job challenges. We are praying for you. We are keeping you encouraged. It is totally understandable for you to feel some kind of way. All of us are going to have moments where we're hurt, angry, disappointed, upset. That is totally understandable. Hey, Sana Yoga, good to see you. It is totally understandable. And you have every right to feel what you feel. But a bigger right that you have is not to stay stuck there, because we know the longer you stay stuck there, it's going to put you in a deeper hole. It's going to put you in a much more toxic situation. So to anyone out there that's going through those challenges, if you need to seek professional help, do not be afraid to get that. Or even if the first step is identifying those trusted family members, friends, loved ones, just to get the conversation going, if that's what you need to do to help you pivot and help you turn the corner, please do so. Congratulations to Ginger Funk 78 regarding the change of careers. We have chatted offline about that, and you stay encouraged as you take those next steps professionally and otherwise. And as you're taking those steps, and this is pivoting to folks whose challenges are kind of in containment because of the positives going on. Celebrate those victories, whether small or big. A positive step is a positive step. A victory is a victory. You have every right to celebrate because you know what you've been led through in order to get there. So we've got fellow author Trey Johnson joining us. Trey, good to see you. So the folks out there that are enjoying success, keep it in perspective. Don't let it go to your head. But by the same token, please celebrate those successes. You know what you've had to work through, what you've been led through in order to get here. And as the saying is, people see us where we are, but we don't know what we've been led through in order to get here. So on that note, I'm going to pivot and I'm going to have a great chat with a wonderful, wonderful person that I've known for the longitude and latitude of about a week. but it seems a little longer. Make sure, Ms. Mathis, are you unmuted? Are you? Make sure you're unmuting yourself on the Zoom for us, please.
Yes, I'm unmuted.
Okay, so I'm going to turn my volume down a little bit so it cuts down on the interference. But I got to give shouts to Ms. Keisha Hardiman. She is an awesome steward, author that I had the pleasure of working with last year. And she's like, Andrew, you got to talk with this person. And I'm glad that periodically in doing our live chats, we're able to bring on, some great people, whether they're fellow authors or whether they just have a powerful story to tell that aligns with what we're doing. So, Ms. Mathis, it's good to see you. How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Andrew, and I am super excited. I hope my volume is down enough that I'm not echoing too much. And I apologize. The planes are flying around, so you might hear those a little bit as well. Um, but I just want to shout out Keisha Hardeman as well. If she's watching, hey Keisha, thank you so much for introducing me to Andrew. I'm super excited to be here.
Well, it's great having you on board. And even though we're having a little bit of echo, that's okay. It just means you have a strong voice and a strong presence. So that is all right. So we're just going to encourage you to keep walking in your strength. Ms. Mathis, walk through with us the work that you are doing, especially when it comes to advocacy, as it ties in with how I always like to start our chats to acknowledge people that are going through some things. So walk through with us the work that you're doing.
So I recently, in fact, I am sitting here right now in the Exodus house. God gave me a vision back in 2016 to open a home for women who have been physically, emotionally, or sexually abused. Um, that was my story years ago. That was my story. And so I've had it on my, in fact, I'm looking at it right now. I've had it on my vision board ever since. So to literally have God open a door to be able to be in this home to provide a space. And as you opened up today about needing help because of the pandemic and being in these closed quarters, the rate of domestic violence has increased because of being, like the people have lost their jobs, people are at home with their kids now. We're stuck inside more than we're outside. And so the rates of domestic violence has gone up. And what happened, what really solidified that this was the time to do this, was I was doing some research and I found out that 51.5% of women that call in to the domestic violence helpline that are ready to get out have nowhere to go. There's not enough housing.
And I want to pause you there because when we say, when we talk about you don't want to stay stuck there, sometimes the reason people do stay stuck is, like you said, they feel like there are not any options. There are, they don't know how to access resources. So even though they're in an unhealthy space and place, they're like, where else am I going to go? Let me just stay here, which makes the situation even worse, which ties into why I always start off with our chats to acknowledge people who are not doing well, that even if it's informal, that informal conversation with someone trusted can be a start.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what, Andrew, and you and I were talking about this, and I was reflecting more over the weekend. People don't realize that psychological and financial abuse is a real thing. So even though you may not see someone come to work or on a Zoom with bruises, that psychological abuse and financial abuse, I was telling a friend of mine my story of when probably it was probably about 2007, 2008, when I had to make a decision. I was in that, I was psychological and financially abused and didn't even realize it, but I knew that I had to get out. But I was like, okay, I only have this much money because he controlled this, this much money. And so I opened up to a trusted coworker that led her to talk to another one of our trusted coworkers. And then I just told my boss what was going on. And literally that changed my life because my boss opened, him and his wife opened up their home to me and my daughter, so that we would have a place to stay. And we didn't have to be on the street, you know.
And I'm glad that you're sharing that because, again, like I said, we don't know when the beauty, but also the challenges whenever you go live and ever go online, when people are tuning in, you don't know what people aren't dealing with, which is part of me even doing this Fast 15. And like you saw in the very beginning, always taking time before we start talking about our victories and celebration. We got to acknowledge that, hey, look, there's some people catching it. Like real talk. There's some people
Yes.
Walk me through the center that you have established, the programming and the programming that is provided.
So I am I'm trying not to scream because every time I talk about this house, it just makes me light up, because it is actually a home where women who are ready to get out, and it's two things because, excuse me, they may be ready to get out and need a place to transition while they're going to the next location, or they're coming out of an emergency shelter and they need a transitional home. And how God designed this was that we are biblically based. We are founded on our faith and our belief in the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And because I've done this programming with women, I have a Facebook group that I had opened up in 2020 for this reason, because women did not have a space to come to just say, hey, I need help, and I don't know what type of help that is. And so God would have it that, of course, I created the programming for the house in 2020. And so I take them through inner healing and emotional healing, because a lot of times people don't realize that and having been a domestic violence survivor, physically and emotionally myself, is because we don't know who we are. And we have doors of rejection and abandonment and fear that are open. And so until we heal our soul, we continue to get back into those relationships. And then the other part of that also is that we have I actually partner with a young lady now that says she would be willing to help the women to fix their credit, build their credit, teach them the financial strategies about saving money, because our goal is to have them leave here with at least 3 months of an emergency savings. We'd help them find an apartment or a home, or if they want to purchase a home. So really, we would help them mind, body, and spirit, so that when they leave here, they don't have to go back. Because like you said, a lot of times we stay because we don't have the finances, we don't have the skills, we don't know, some of us are working, some of us aren't working, but we want to heal them mind, body, and spirit, and finances.
And all I'm hearing is taking a holistic approach when you're talking about the physical recovery, you're talking about the financial literacy. That's just a challenge across the board, but it definitely gets, magnified in situations along those lines. Soundness of mind, soundness of spirit, and I like to say, and other people have probably used this and said this too, having more tools in your toolbox. So if that screwdriver doesn't work, that's where you have that wrench. And if that wrench doesn't work, that's where you have that hammer. And if that hammer doesn't work, then you're going ahead to your lug nuts or what have you. So you are really committed on, let's give you a place just for you to pause and reboot. Kind of like what not to the same degree that we don't do it to the same degree here, but really it's a place to pause and reboot.
Yes.
Get your bearings straight. And like we said, whether it's slow or swift, constructive movement is constructive movement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let us know where you are based out of, and I know that part of providing resources are collaborations and partnerships. So could you walk through where you're based out of, and with the programs that you have, some of the groups that you've been able to partner with to help, positively amplify your work?
So I'm actually, the house is in South Carolina. But when I created my nonprofit, I based it out of Atlanta because that's where I'm from. And to show you how God has such a sense of humor, that my mama used to always say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And so my plans were always to open this house in Atlanta first. But I'm here in South Carolina. So and this is how you always I won't say always, but for me, this is how I always know it's God, because he literally will pluck me out of where I know everybody and put me in a location where I have to now build with everybody. So I'm still connected with folks in Atlanta, like 90 Days of Care Crisis Center, Crystal Durham over there that's doing some of the similar things. And I'm connecting with the local domestic violence associations and shelters here in South Carolina to get plugged into their system so that they know that, hey, we're here, and our goal is to have everything that we need and have our doors open by April 1st. And so that's what we've been shooting for. I've been having, people come in, like I said, the young lady, Felicia Wade, that offered to come in and teach the ladies financial literacy. I have another young lady who's actually out of Cleveland, Ohio, that offered to come in and teach reading, just literacy, period. And also offer her services if they have children. So I thought that was awesome. I'm connected with my church as well, Impact Center Church in Atlanta. And we have, of course, a bunch of phenomenal business owners, as well as my pastor. Shout out to Apostle John McKinney, who will provide, of course, that inner healing and emotional help as well. And we have a couple of mental health providers within our church also. So that when I tell you that this is God ordained, because the help has come, he said that he would send the laborers.
And I'm glad that you're sharing that because, again, there's that proverb. I mean, I don't. It's not exactly in Proverbs, but you ask from whence cometh your help, and your help is coming from all over. Your ties to Atlanta, people who are based in other parts of the country that are seeing the stewardship and outreach that you're doing and saying, "I want to be a part of this." It speaks volumes to where you are in your journey. And as we said before, celebrate how far you've come, but just know you still got a little bit more to go. But you still, like I said, celebrate how far you've come. But no, and use that as a springboard for where you're going. Let me ask you this question. Is great what you're doing. It is needed. It is necessary. How can people find out more about what you're doing? Whether it is to be like, hey, this is a resource that I'm aware of, or B, people who want to constructively amplify what you're doing. Walk through that with us.
Actually, we have a website up, and I'll try to type it in the comments. It's Impact Her, IMPACTHER, globalministries.com. ImpactHerGlobalMinistries.com, and the same email, ImpactHerGlobalMinistries@gmail.com. And they can get in contact with me, or they can read more about the Exodus House. They can also donate on our website. We're always asking, people to either donate time, services. And right now, since we're not open, I actually have a lady coming in from Atlanta this weekend. One of my high school friends inboxed me and said, hey, I'll come help clean and get you set up. And look, hands down, I'm like, yes, please.
Well, I'll tell you what. Number one, the resources that you're providing and the work that you're doing is needed. They're needed. They've quote always been needed, but in these now normal times, we do sometimes, because we're so caught up, and rightfully so, we're caught up in the health issues. Your mask and yes, you have to pay attention to those. But unfortunately, there are some things that get swept under the rug because we put, not to say that putting attention on those areas is not important, because, it definitely is, but sometimes we forget. And that comes back to, like I said, circling back, why I make sure to start off every chat with acknowledging, our peers, people known and unknown, that really are between a rock and a hard place and don't know where to go. So I'm very grateful that you are as part of your journey as a steward, you're saying, here, this is a space for you. This is a place for you. I've tread where you've tread. And the light at the end of the tunnel isn't because that kid around the oncoming car or that flashlight that you flashing in somebody's face. That light at the end of the tunnel is reminding you that you are capable, you are valuable, you do have a gift, you do have a presence, and even you can be a resource to somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's real huge. What I'm going to do is real briefly, and I'm just going to pull these real quick statements. Statement number one is just coming from the foreword of Nine Stories of Faith, but from the foreword, and it's a quote that people have heard me say all the time. It's okay to experience a setback and feel some kind of way. The main thing is not to be stuck there. That's something that I say a lot. It's something that I put in the very forward. And folks, whether it's the life challenges that you're talking about, the life challenges that other people have inboxed me on, and things along those lines, and the second real quick thing that I'm going to share that I hope ties in, and I'm going to say this, and this is speaking to what you're doing right now. And this is from the 7th chapter and closing out the 7th chapter of one of the interviews, where even though the person talks about what someone else is doing, there's some definite parallels. So I'm going to say this. The same for Greg Olson, who used to be the tight end for the Carolina Panthers. When you read his interviews and the empathy he has for others, including those deemed coming from a lower or lesser socioeconomic status, be it from an urban or rural community, he invests his time and puts his money where his mouth is. So when you spoke about that financial literacy piece, but even bigger, you are investing your time and talent. So like the old school saying is, you're not just talking the talk, you are walking the walk. And we are extremely grateful for you to take time out of your day as you're getting all the pieces of the puzzle together so you can be the best resource that you can for others. So I thank you, and what have you. And I'll share a little. I'm not going to share everything about our talk, but let's just say this. I made it to the park, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Folks gonna have to ask you what we're gonna keep that. I'm gonna say
that's between us. Inside joke.
It's our inside joke, but I made it to the park, and oh gosh. So as we get ready to wind down, and before we wind down, real quick reminders. We do this each and every Wednesday. Every once in a while, we will have a guest that'll drop in and what have you. But part of what we do is just this with our Fast 15. Sometimes that Fast 15 ends up being a fast moving 25, but that happens sometimes. But make sure to stay connected with me. Facebook, author Andrew Snorton. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, AuthorASnorton. You can email me at AuthorASnorton@gmail.com. So this is what the live chat that we do every Wednesday. The next time I'll do the full broadcast show of the Conversation Corner will be next Wednesday, February 10th. So you'll see info on that coming out this weekend regarding the guests. I'm grateful that I'm booked for February and March on the show. I'm thankful on that because it's that's all I'm going to say. I'm just very thankful and grateful. Ms. Mathis, again, remind people of the best ways to be informed of the outreach that you are doing, and to stay abreast. And as you said before, hopefully by putting this out there in the universe, as we know there's power in the tongue, hopefully there will be even more people that'll be like, hey, this is something I want to support. Or B, when people talk about, I don't know of anything, it's like, well, wait a minute. I know this person who maybe directly or indirectly can help somebody pivot to not staying stuck, basically. So
That
through with this again, the best ways to stay informed, stay engaged, stay connected with the great work that you've already done and the great work that you've yet to do.
Thank you so much, Andrew. And really, that is the key to be that resource that someone says, "Hey, I know a lady that has a house," and so they can find us on all social media under my name. I haven't created a separate Exodus house, but Leticia A. Mathis on Facebook, Leticia A. Mathis on Instagram. We do have a Impact Her Global Ministries Facebook page, and you can keep up with everything that is going on because the Exodus House falls up under our global ministry. But we also do some other things there. We also have a community, Impact Her Global Community. It's a community of women like me, like those that may be watching that, or women that just need a community to have a place to talk to someone without, it being all over the internet. And then as well, you can find us on impactherglobalministries.com. There's a place at the bottom too. You can sign up for our newsletter so we can keep you abreast of all things Impact Her Global and the Exodus House.
And I see you put the email, I see it on the Instagram, and I'll repeat the email as well. Make sure to email any questions, general inquiries, support, things along those lines. Impact Her Global Ministries at gmail.com. Gmail has been our friend.
Email is our friend.
Everybody's friend, basically. But real talk, I want to say this, to everybody that's taken time to tune in. I appreciate each and every one of you. We've been doing this really since, and it's funny when we started doing the weekly live chats on Wednesday, figured middle of the week, middle of the day. The first day we did this was April 1st. So you talk about humor, April 1st. So pretty much every Wednesday since about April 1st, we've done this. Second, please do not hesitate to share, what you see in the day. Just hit the share button, and what have you. And this will be on the IGTV and what have you. But don't be afraid to share. Like I said, you never know what seed planting you're doing. You never know how you can impact somebody. And even something that simple could be the first step to being like, hey, there are people out there, and even directly or indirectly, just plant the seed. If this is taking place in South Carolina, there's got to be some place that might be closer to where I live, closer, all those types of things. So please, keep that in mind. And as we get ready to close out, I'll just keep it simple. Remain encouraged. Still remain encouraged. You might have to, like the adage goes, you might fall down 7, but get back up 8 times. And, another thing, filter out the noise. Sometimes filtering that noise means filtering out your self-doubt, your self-criticism. Filter out the noise, because at the end of the day, there's going to be someone that's going to need to hear from you, is going to need your gift, your talent, your voice to help equip and empower them. And then when they do that, equip and empower somebody else. So on those notes, again, we want to thank Ms. Mathis for taking and making the time. Continued blessing, success, encouragement with all that you're doing. To everybody out there, yes, Ginger Funk 78, I agree. Filtering out the noise, other people's opinions. Yeah, you gotta listen to the look at the source. If someone is criticizing you about flying a kite and they can barely tie their shoes, you might not want to listen to them. But definitely to everybody out there, like I said, stay encouraged, continue to celebrate the victory, small or big, because you know what you've been led through and worked through to even get to this point. And like we say at the very beginning, don't forget about other people. Be sensitive and cognizant of that. And the people who are enjoying success, yes, enjoy it. Keep it in perspective, because once upon a time, you might have been that person. It might not be through the lenses that we talked about, but you were that person. So don't forget about other people as you continue to ascend. Make sure to join us each and every Wednesday at 1:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Fast 15. It's a moment to check in, enjoy short readings, and more. Check us out on our Facebook and Instagram, information provided, as well as Zoom, and we'll see you soon.